Hello, my name is Jeff Knox, and today I would like to talk about mathematics and why we should embrace it. Most people may think that math is only important to scientists and engineers or math teachers, but I think that math can be important in all of our lives, and I would like to discuss a few reasons why I think that's true. First, embracing math can help us become better problem solvers. Second, a positive attitude toward math can help our children and the next generation develop an interest in math, which is good for society as a whole. And lastly, I'd like to talk about how being well versed in mathematical concepts is a sure way to land better jobs with higher pay, which probably most of us would think is pretty important. The first point I would like to make is that embracing math helps us become better problem solvers. When we learn about math, there's a rewiring that takes place in our brain. I get this idea from Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is an astrophysicist. Let's hear what he has to say.
There are people who say, I'll never need this math, these trig identities from 10th grade. Here's the catch. Whether or not you ever again use the math that you learned in school, the act of having learned the math established a wiring in your brain that didn't exist before. And it's the wiring in your brain that makes you the problem solver.
So, according to Dr. Tyson, even if we don't remember complex equations from our math class, or if we don't remember the proofs from geometry class that many of us had to memorize, we can still use the problem-solving concepts in our everyday lives. Now I'd like to talk about how a positive attitude can help our children to develop an interest in math. One example I would like to bring up is the Bernoulli family. There was a research paper written by two students at Chapman University, and in the research paper they noted that within 3 successive generations, the Bernoulli family produced as many as 8 mathematicians who contributed vastly to the mathematic world. Now, while most of us are probably never going to become world-famous mathematicians, this little example just goes to show how embracing a topic and demonstrating an interest in it to our children can propagate that interest to the next generation. Now, lastly, and possibly what many would consider most importantly, I would like to talk about how being well versed in mathematical concepts is a sure way to land better jobs with higher pay. There was a report published by the Public Policy Institute of California, and the report was created by Heather Rose and Julian Betts, and they demonstrate a correlation between the highest level of math attained and educational success. Now, I have a number of slides here that I would like to show that demonstrate this concept. In 1982, they gathered a bunch of information from high school students about which math classes they took, and they later followed up to see what kind of jobs they got and the type of education they achieved. This first slide shows the distribution of math classes that the seniors in the high school took. We can see most of the people only went up to an algebra and geometry level of math. Now, in this next slide, we can see the types of degrees that the students went on to obtain. All the way on the right-hand side, we can see the large light gray box demonstrating that the students that took the most advanced mathematics classes went on to obtain a bachelor's degree. On this next slide, we can see that the more advanced mathematics classes that the students took, the higher probability they had of obtaining a bachelor's degree. And it should be noted that in the report, they controlled for students having a ability to to perform better in math class, meaning that this actually works across the board for any person who takes an advanced math class. Their brain is rewired, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, in such a manner that they become more successful in college and beyond. Now, in this next slide, we can see as students take higher and higher level math classes, there is a corresponding salary earnings that increases along with the complexity of the math class. So, in conclusion, we have seen how math can rewire our brains to make us more intelligent. We've seen that embracing math helps to pass interest on to the next generation, as in the case with the Bernoulli family. And finally, it helps us to complete higher degrees of education and land higher paying jobs, as demonstrated by the report from the Public Policy Institute of California. So, a positive outlook on mathematics only brings us good things, which is good for everybody.